You got to see this. I've been giving this report. It says we were taking millions of contracts in dollars in contracts to create things like PowerPoint slide and meeting minutes. Folks, if you don't know how to run PowerPoint slides, learn. It's a tutorial on your computer. Go learn for free. It's okay. Take your own notes. Wow, I'll send you one of my pencils if you need one, but we're not paying millions of dollars for consultants to do this for us.
You can't make this stuff up. The man himself, U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. All right, sir. I mean, it seems pretty rational, but people are still fighting you on the fact that you're canceling money that should be spent on veterans and not PowerPoints.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing, Carl. It's good to see you, buddy. Look, it's a whole different mindset. I've been saying this from day one. Inside this beltway, there's a mindset that government is the sort of the institution. Government is the client. And I've got a group at the VA that we're refocusing and knowing that the veteran is the one that we serve. The VA exists for one reason, and that is the veteran all across this great country. And I tell you, when you go outside the Beltway and you start telling people about contracts with consulting companies for doing the things like you just heard, they don't quite get it, especially when they've had issues that, we need to get better on our wait times, get better on our benefits. We're doing all of those things by taking a fresh approach. But when they see money that's being spent like this, they get the picture that maybe it hadn't been a right focus.
Well, Mr. Secretary, the other thing, too, is like I'm a vet, so when I call and I need an appointment for, pick a thing, I have to go to a third party that's a contract with you, and that party calls me and they say, hey, are you available the third Monday of June? I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's so far from now. Why don't you tell me what you have available and I'll work my schedule around that? No, we don't do that. You have to be available from, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the third Tuesday of June. Is there any way to make it more efficient by not having these contractors with people who don't even talk to their third or fourth parties in the middle?
Yeah, Carl, this is one of the things that we're getting ready to we're having to do a lot of things right now in what I call triage to make sure we're following what the president has asked for, especially when it comes to governing our contracts, and we're doing that. But my long term, and I've already had it started, when we deal with our electronic health record system, when we get, I've already been asking, and we're going to getting help to actually have a portal or even an app on your phone that we have now, but it's going to be a little different where you can make all of your appointments at one time. So if you had 2 or 3 different doctors, you can make all those appointments and keep up with it, just like, by the way, out in the other world, they actually are able to do that. These are things we're going to be working on. But first, it's going to take a good look at how our structure is set up. Let me just tell you, community care was something I voted on when I was in Congress called the Mission Act. And to be honest, over the last 4 years, we found, and you're going to hear more about this, so Carl, so we're going to talk more about this. We found that was, frankly, just what we knew to be happening. We found it to be true now, is that was not being encouraged. In fact, it was being the opposite. And so you're going to hear more about this, and we're going to be holding people accountable for not following the law.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's great. But, as you start doing this, you start eliminating departments, you start following the law, which inevitably creates some disturbances amongst the permanent state of D.C. The liberal media is running this narrative. It's like, oh, well, you're firing a veteran here and there. It's like, yes, but if there's no ROI on the position that veteran is holding, maybe reapply somewhere. If your department doesn't have an ROI, the department's got to go, right?
Yeah, Carl, you're exactly right. Because here's an interesting thing: have you, and you're in the media and you do a great job. You notice all these stories about, look, we're doing probationary employees who were fired. We've got some other issues all across the government that President Trump has said that we need to downsize our workforce. They're looking at those things. But also what is happening is all the mainstream media and the Democrats, mainly on the Hill, who are upset about this. By the way, we exempted over 300,000 positions in the Department of VA because we wanted to make sure anybody that touches a veteran on health care, forward-facing on benefits, we didn't bother those because we're going to make sure we're doing our job. But here what's happening is all of the job and cuts in the consulting class in D.C. don't want you to realize that this week Southwest Airlines is cutting 15% of their workforce. We've seen Meta, Facebook cut over 2,000 or 3,000 jobs. We've seen Caterpillar. We've seen others. And, they don't seem to be running any stories about them. This is about an entrenched bureaucracy that just frankly, I am so proud of so much of what we're doing here at the VA. They've got no greater friend than the secretary, but they're also going to have anybody that's going to hold them accountable either.
Well, that is nice. And, knowing for you as long as I have, I think you're a man of your word. The last thing real quick, do you think there's any talk on permanently privatizing veterans insurance?
No, not at this point. And because this is something I want to make sure, and I talked to senators about this, and we've talked to the House members, there'll always be a VA for the VA who wants it. But also, Carl, you're bringing up a good question.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.